Who's ready to get started? Yeah. Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you very, very, very much for coming. Parge has always been committed to celebrating and growing what Martin Luther King Jr. referred to as the beloved community. And so it brings me great pleasure to wish all of you a happy Neighbor Day. Neighbor Day is our official city holiday, and I'm happy to be spending it all with you. Before we get started, it's important to talk about how we got started. Parge was inspired for sure by the brutal murder of brother George Floyd. We all saw it, and though the murderer of George Floyd did not target him because he was black, he certainly neglected to appreciate the worth of George Floyd's life because he was black. And 2 years later, we see again. This past week, 10 individuals murdered, sought out by their murderer because they were black. With so many huge examples like these of just how much hate there still is in this world, every little bit of love becomes that much more significant. Every little gesture, every little event means that much more. And this is not a little event. This is a celebration of community, of the current culture of our community, and the history of this community, of the individuals who make up this community and our neighbors from surrounding communities too. You know, when I first thought about what I'd say here, it wasn't long before I realized that the most important thing I could say is thank you to Parge members for their support throughout this project. Here I go. To Wendy Burry, Miriam Alahi, and Curtis Goodwin. And the Parge Steering Committee for their leadership and guidance. To Connecticut Murals, our talented partners in this Sister Mural project, and to the lead mural artist himself, Marvin Espy. Thank you to Isaac School, to New London Public Schools, and to Connecticut College. The insight and input we received from your students absolutely made this project better. Thank you to the individual New London community members who volunteered their time and energy. I could not have done this without you. And to the City of New London and Mayor Michael Pasro. Your engagement in this project, the support you gave during installation process, and your willingness to help get the word out were invaluable to Parge. And for all of this, we thank you. Now we begin our program with remarks and an official welcome to the City of New London from Mayor Michael Pasro.
I'm a shorty. Okay. Sorry for the costume, but I've been outside all day, going from one event to the other, and this is how I survive. I want to first start by acknowledging some of the people in the crowd here today, which are really working towards Parge's goal of a beloved community. So many of the most important partners are here with me today. I have to start first with my partners in city government, the elected members of the amazing New London City Council, which is just driving this city so forward right now in this very important time. Council President Efren Dominguez, the President Pro Tem Riona Dice. You're going to be hearing from Riona. Our freshman counselor Akil Peck, and Councilor Martha Marks. So thank you all for the time you put in working with the city administration to get everything done that we're doing. One of the great things we're doing, and some of you may not know, is this area here, which has been a neglected part of East New London for generations, We are going to take down the fences. We're going to get rid of the invasive species. We're going to open up Briggs Brook and Winthrop Cove, and there's going to be an amazing green space from Fulton Park to the Old Town Mill. I believe we have some great open spaces in New London, and this will be one of our pride and joy. And that work starts this summer. We have devoted nearly $1 million of our ARPA funds to do this project right here in this neighborhood. So a couple other people that are working very hard on our mission here in New London. It's Tom Shook and Lauren Natush. You're here. Thank you. Take a bow for the work you folks do, and your whole team, amazing team at Landmarks. You're carrying our history forward. And Kia Baird and the members of the LGBT youth community and Out CT, thank you all for being here today. It's really important to have you here. And a woman who, we can't let her just sort of be in the shadow of her husband Marvin, but our new amazing president of Metro College, Tracy FC. Tracy, good morning. A long, loyal, dedicated servant of the City of New London. He manages all of our parks and much, much more. Tommy Major is here. Thank you, Tommy, for your service. And of course, doing amazing work leading the Homeless Hospitality Center. We really wouldn't be where we are today in this city, as united as we are without Kathy Zoll. Thank you, Kathy, for everything you do. And somebody, a power couple, who we all know and are doing great work. Steve and Jeannie Siegel at Guard Arts, really a big part of this community. Of course, Jean Jordan, president of the NAACP. Jean, thank you for all your work, and sincere thank you for your partnership. She keeps us on the straight and narrow on the 3rd floor of City Hall, let me tell you. Linda, thank you for Mural, and thank you for being here today. Linda Smith, thank you. You're going to hear from our amazing state rep later, Anthony Nolan. Anthony, thank you for your work. So with that, Curtis has tasked me with presenting the official proclamation, Office of the Mayor, City of New London, Connecticut proclamation. Whereas Public Art for Racial Justice, PARS, was formed in Old Lyme when 2 pastors, David Good, thank you David, I should have mentioned your name first, David Good of First Congregational Church of Old Lyme, and Jack Matry of Matry Temple in New London, were inspired by the March for Justice in Old Saybrook, which was organized by Miriam Elahi. And whereas the PARS Steering Committee formed a solid foundation as the result of various community partnerships and with the dedication and hard work of many residents and students of the City of New London. And whereas after the initial meeting in Old Lyme, PARS was subsequently partnered with its sister city, New London. And whereas the 2 cities have since collaborated to create and install 2 murals, 1 in each community, the PARS New London Committee commissioned Marvin Espy of New London's official PARS muralist. Thank you, Marvin. Now therefore, I, Michael E. Pastro, Mayor of the City of New London, do hereby proclaim Sunday, March 22nd, 2022 as PARS New London Day, and ask New Londoners to join me in extending a sincere congratulations and gratitude to PARS New London for beautifying our city with public art. I urge us to remember this community project as a reminder as we continue to do our part in this ongoing struggle for racial justice and equality, and witness Whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the city to be affixed this 22nd day of May, 2022.
What a day. Up next, we're going to hear some remarks from former Councilor Curtis Goodwin, New London resident Curtis Goodwin. Councilor Riona Dice, thank you.
Oh, I was supposed to wait to do my walk. Okay. I would like for you to take a moment and picture former Councilman Curtis Goodwin right here, because these are his words that I'm going to be sharing with you in this entirety. Greetings all. First, thank you, President Pro Tem Dice, for taking the time to read this note and join us as we celebrate community, the arts, and creating a space of belonging. I'm sorry I cannot be with you in person. Eddie, a member of Parsh, our muralist, Marvin, Mayor Basserow, and city staff, Connecticut College, Office of the Arts, the Coast Guard Academy, students from New London High School, and Isaac, and all of you who showed up today. Job well done. This is community. This is a small but necessary part of keeping the fight for racial justice relevant and not trendy. I'd be naive to say this solves all of our injustice occurring daily, but I'll be inhuman and a poor leader if I did not stop to acknowledge the time, effort, and collaboration it took to get here. Not to mention the seeds planted. Nearly 2.5 years ago, I asked City Council and New London Recreation Department for their support in allowing me to start an urban art park initiative here at Fulton Park. As fate would have it, I later connected with Eddie, and over time the idea grew into a movement, which we call Parge today. I couldn't be more proud of my city and our sister city. We exemplify what happens when a community creates together. Our resiliency is illustrated in the strokes used to create the faces of the historical figures in this mural. Our pride shine in our art. Mural, I was fortunate to meet him, and even more fortunate to have spent time talking and being encouraged by his wonderful wife, Linda. I'm blessed to have been told stories of Sadie Harrison, or the man who sparked the entire journey for me, Ichabod Pease. These untold and forgotten stories of resiliency and Black excellence have inspired me. So thanks, Nicole and Tom, who you will hear from just in a short time. When I felt defeated, heard too many no's, or had too many sleepless nights, I pondered, what one of these figures do? Would they give up? Would they have played the victim? Their strength, their courage that gave me hope. These stories provide this Black man with vision. Trust me, when I tell you adversity is fuel, so as we smile at these figures on this mural, remember they represent thousands of children of color that's in our community who deserve the same look of aspiration. Give them hope. So when someone asks, what can art do? What can projects like this do? You remind them how you remind them how it can teach, heal, inspire. They create dialogue that spark community collaboration. Yet projects like this can spur movements and can introduce new members of the community, like Melvin and his wife Tracy, to a community like New London that works hard to welcome all. Art is often viewed with the wrong lens. Today, we get to see it for what it is, transformative. Look around you. Say hello to someone new on your way out. Just behind you is the basketball court. So some of us park there, just so you know. My friends used to play on when I was growing up. This was considered a hood. So welcome to my hood. We beautified it together with the mayor, council, and city administration. We shall revitalize it. Anything is possible. You just have to have vision, hope, and be resilient in collaboration to reach what you feel like uncomfortable goals. Continue to fight, spark necessary change. If you, like me, continue the good trouble. Just so all you guys know, make sure you get in some good trouble. But seriously, whatever you do, please do not be silent on controversial issues of racial discrimination and justice. Silence is loud, and our compounding pain has become an uncomfortable norm. Pass on to our black and brown youth. We need you to make a real investment to spark real change. You'd be surprised what your voice, time, funding, and privilege can do. Enjoy your day, and congrats to all involved. Happy New London Purge Day.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Up next, we want to hear some remarks from our state representative. I lost him. He's around here taking pictures as he usually is. Anthony Nolan, everybody.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Be long. I just want to, commend Eddie for this long road to get something meaningful on this wall that represents our community and the arts, especially racial justice. It is something that is dear to many of us up at the Capitol in Hartford, along with many here in New London. Something that we will continue to fight for and push for, racial justice, education, a much needed thing in our community. And for this to be the start, because I'm hoping, along with Eddie and others, that we can continue to produce artwork such as Marvin throughout our city, so that people can see, one, the diversity that we have, and two, how important racial justice is for everyone. New London is strongly boned in pushing for things that are right, and this is just an example of something that is right that we have now in our city. And I thank everybody for being part of it. Have a nice day.
Thank you again, Representative Nolan. We have some history for you all, too. Today is not just about beautifying a space. Before we get into that, my gears are turning, and I just wanted to give some shout-outs to some folks. First of all, there's pizza, if anybody's hungry. Welcome to New London. Working our pizza table, two very special people. Latasha Smith is a certified surgical technologist at Bacchus Hospital. And joining her is her daughter, Aaliyah Connor. who, as far as I can tell, is the only black female bail bondsman in the country. And I want everybody to know that today is Aaliyah's birthday. Happy birthday, Aaliyah. We're also joined by the first black woman to own a commercial property in New London. Her name is Anita Pinder, and she owns the business It's All About Hair, and I'm very happy that she's here today. Anita, give the people a wave, please. We break ground in this city. We do it all the time. Today we're here to talk about it. The next speaker I have will give us some remarks about Mr. Antoine Desant. I'm very excited about this story, so without further ado, I give you one of the members of the New London Sister Mural team, Nicole Thomas.
Thank you, Eddie. I am also short. Look at all these beautiful people. Thank you guys for having me today. So, I stand here today as a proud black woman, proud of the accomplishments of my people, and the ability to stand the test of time. Time stripped away, time when our stories were stuck in historic records, with many hoping they would never see the light of day. Stories of prosperity, strength, hope, and resilience. Things that I hope I can pass on to my own children, and strength that I hope the world sees in these powerful individuals each time a story is reintroduced to the public. Thankfully, we have a special group of history lovers who refuse to give up. We keep on searching so that these stories are not lost forever. We are the current generation of storytellers, and I doubt that I am speaking solely for myself when I say that I am filled with such gratitude to be able to pass these stories on to you today. I urge you, if you are not already, to ask questions, write things down, and become the next generation of storytellers. There are so many that have yet to be told. But together, we can become the change that we would want to see in this world. I have one of those stories to tell you today. It is my honor to reintroduce you to a man named Antoine Desant. Born in Cabo Verde in 1815, Antoine Desant is recognized today as New London's Black Whaler. Mr. Desant was born in a time where the transatlantic slave trade was slowly working its way towards an end. By this time, free blacks in Cabo Verde of mixed race began to outnumber the enslaved population. Mr. Desant was only a teen when he joined an American whaling vessel, arriving in 1831 in London. Whaling only lasted a short time, approximately between 1819 and 1892. However, when he arrived as whaling was turning into a commercially sound industry, or had become economically sound. New London is still known as the whaling city today. Whaling was grueling work, often considered to be a position of lower status. However, the profession allowed black men a measure of respect and an opportunity that was not always easily available within other professions. Due to this, black men were twice as likely to sail on whaling vessels. In the 19th century, at least 10% of New London's whaling crew were men of color. Although they did not often rise to the rank of captain, and sometimes were not able to point those stories out due to lack of records, the black whalers had a significant impact on the outcome of such voyages, having acquired so many useful skills to ensure the voyage's success. All of these things helped the local whaling economy to thrive, the result of which was responsible for the wealth of New London's well-known captains. By 1840, Desant had owned enough as a whaler to purchase 2 houses on Bank Street, one which my new office looks out on. With a plaque honoring him today in front, Mr. Desant owned what New Londoners call the boat building at 745 Bank Street. The wall of this house is curved. If you're familiar with New London, you know that Truman's Brook used to run alongside it. Today, it runs mostly underground. By 1842, Mr. Desant was married to a woman named Diana Gager, otherwise known in records as Kager. The couple would go on to have 4 children, and by 1856, he had become a widower for a time before getting remarried to a woman named Susan Congdon. Congdon was a descendant of immigrant American and white ancestry. None of Desant's children from his first marriage outlived him, however. Of the 11 children born to him in Congdon, 4 survived to adulthood. Antoine had multiple businesses running out of the buildings that he owned. He was listed as both a mariner and a barber in the 1850s. And by the 1870s, he was listed as a grocer, where he sold rum and cookies. Desant later purchased homes on William Street and on Cape Ann Lane, which most of you know today as Jefferson Avenue. Mr. Desant also ran a boarding house co-owned with the woman named Peggy Sanson. Tom Shook pointed that out to me just recently. We're discovering and learning more about that, so we hope to share more about that with you soon, and Tom might have some gems. Despite being a black man in these times, Desant is a standing example to all of us today. To dream big, to get out there and explore all the world has to offer, and to stop at nothing, absolutely nothing, to accomplish our goals, and support our people by any means necessary. I am again proud to be a black woman, mother and daughter, because I know that all of those who came before me were and will now remain a powerful example that we are now and always have been prosperous people. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. Yes, our black whaler. I have a little anecdote I like to share with people. In New London, whaling is like our White House. In America, we love our White House. It's objectively beautiful. But no one really likes to talk about the full history of the White House and who built it. And I think that that's true for whaling as well. We are deeply proud of our roots in whaling, but we need to talk about all of it. And today, we have Antoine Desant on a wall to remind people of that conversation and how important it is to have it. Antoine Desant rose to the level of captain on a whaling boat, but he was denied that title because he's black. And as I just shared with somebody just a few moments ago, he now is gracing a wall with the man who has earned the title commander. So as we discuss race in America, it's important that there has been successes we need to talk to. I know it sounds weird, but it's not all doom and gloom. There is something for us to build on. We have made some progress, but there is so much work to do. But it's important to remember how far we've come. And with that, I would like to welcome who I consider a special guest, Police Chief Wright, our New London Police Chief Wright. We mentioned Antoine Desant and we mentioned Commander Smith, who we'll hear more about. And in between these two individuals is Sadie Dillon Harrison, who I am happy is on the wall because it's somebody that my daughter can look at and identify with. This project is for everybody in this community, and that includes my babies too. All right. To hear more about Sadie Dillon Harrison, I'd like to welcome to the stage New London's lead researcher. Congratulations, that's your title now, Tom. Mr. Tom Shook.
Hello. Can you hear me all right? Okay. I'm Tom Shook. I'm a New London native. And first of all, I want to thank Eddie Long and the Parish Mural team for the great honor and privilege of being able to share the story of one of New London's authentic heroes, Sadie Dillon Harrison. And I also want to give a shout out to Mary Beth Baker of New London Landmarks, whose initial research on Sadie and her family led me to the discovery of the Hackley and Harrison Guide, which you're going to hear about today. Okay, the theme of the mural today is navigation, safety, and service. And the life of Sadie Dillon Harrison is the very embodiment of those themes. Now, we normally associate navigation with, say, a whaling ship, navigating perilous waters with a cargo of whale oil, or a Coast Guard cutter, performing a perilous rescue at sea. Sadie Dillon Harrison was also a navigator, but of a different sort. She did her navigating on land through the treacherous and perilous landscape of Jim Crow America. And she not only had to learn to navigate her own life, having lost both of her biological parents by age 12, but she dedicated her life of service to helping others navigate their way to a better life in a very challenging time. Sadie was born in 1888 in Philadelphia to a prominent black family of that city. Indeed, there's a webpage entitled The Extraordinary Tanners, which tells part of her family history. Her grandfather was a bishop and was then considered the preeminent black clergyman of his time. Her mother was the first woman physician in the state of Alabama. Not only the first black woman physician, she was the first woman physician in Alabama. Her uncle became the first black artist to have his work included in the White House collection. And her cousin was the first woman PhD in America, and also the first black woman admitted to the Pennsylvania bar. And as I read through this webpage, I kept expecting to see Sadie Dillon Harrison's name. It doesn't appear. She's never mentioned. We need to change that. She deserves to be in that company. She's a tanner. So this mural and the Black Heritage Trail plaque that now stands on the side of her house on Hempstead Street may be the first step to help us reaching that goal. Although Sadie was blessed to be part of a loving family, her life was not without tragedy. Sadie's father, Charles Dillon, died in 1888 at age 25, just before Sadie was born. Sadie and her mother returned to her parents' home in Philadelphia, and her mother remarried in 1894, and then her mother died in 1901 from complications related to childbirth. Sadie, bereft now of both of her biological parents, would have to navigate her life without them. She remained with her grandfather, the bishop, in Philadelphia, where she received her education, which she later sadly described, and I quote, "As a high school girl in Philadelphia, my very soul was crushed because I was left out of things, and the prejudices were too numerous to mention." She went on to Fisk University, a historically black college in Nashville, Tennessee, and she graduated in 1907. Fisk University was a formative experience for her, where she, quote, "found herself equal with all other students, and that it was character and ability that counted, not the color of her skin." Sadie was learning to navigate her way in Jim Crow America. She then embarked on a 20-year career of teaching social work and community organizing that would take her to Alabama, where she worked for Booker T. Washington at Tuskegee Institute, and to Indiana, and to Pennsylvania, where she taught at a place called the Institute for Colored Youth. That was the first high school for black youths in America. It was originally founded in 1837. That's the same year that Ichabod Pease founded his school for black children here in New London, about 300 yards over there. It goes way back. That institute where she taught later became Cheney University, which was the first HBCU in America. And she also worked in the settlement movement in New York and New Jersey during the Great Migration, helping rural black folks from the South learn to navigate their way in the industrialized urban environment of the North. All of this experience was prologue and preparation for the important work that she was about to do in New London. Along the way, she married Scott Harrison in 1913 and had given birth to her daughter, Hallie Tanner Harrison, in 1914. The local Indiana newspaper in 1916 described the greatest asset that Mrs. Harrison brings to her work, an asset which far outweighs education, experience, or birth, is a heart overflowing with a desire to have her people take advantage of the educational, religious, and social opportunities which Fort Wayne affords. Sadly, her marriage was an unhappy one. She filed for divorce in 1917, citing failure to provide and fear of bodily harm. She returned to her family in Philadelphia to raise her daughter as a single parent. We don't know what drew her to New London, but in 1926, Sadie bought 73 Hempstead Street from the famous organist and music teacher William Herbert Bush, whose family had owned it for 80 years, and who was married to Julia Desant, the daughter of Antoine Desant. There's connections here all the time. Mrs. Harrison became the executive secretary of the United Negro Welfare Council in New London, which was affiliated with the National Urban League. Her work here was a continuation and an extension of the work that she had done in the settlement movement, providing a clearinghouse for problems concerning the black community in the courts, in housing, in schools, and in unemployment, providing cultural events through amateur dramatics, setting up boys and girls clubs, a Girl Scout troop, and a thrift shop. They were initially located at 38 Green Street, and then by 1929, they had expanded to more commodious headquarters at 39 Tilly Street, where they had 4 assembly rooms, a kitchen, a club room, a tea room, and an office. Mrs. Harrison was also active as an outspoken advocate for the black community on issues of civil rights and discrimination. She presented many speeches before civic groups on these issues and testified before the Connecticut General Assembly. She was a strong believer in self-help within her community. In 1928, she assisted her half-brother, Benjamin Tanner Johnson, another illustrious Tanner, the 3rd black graduate of Harvard Business School, class of 21, that's 1921, in establishing the New England People's Finance Corporation. This was a banking and lending institution at 38 Green Street, and it was designed to serve the needs of the black community for mortgages and car loans, which they were generally denied at traditional banks. Mr. Johnson was the president, and Sadie was the secretary of the corporation. By March 1928, her work in New London was nationally recognized. In an article in Opportunity, the Journal of Negro Life, which I have right here somewhere. Well, in fact, the photograph that you see, that painting is based on, appeared. It's a photograph from that journal article, which appeared in March 1928, which is when Sadie Dillon Harrison was working here in New London. So that picture is perfect. That is a New London picture. Thank you, Marvin Espy, by the way. Perfect. But Sadie's most significant achievement was yet to come. In 1929, recognizing the difficulties that black travelers experienced in finding accommodations in Jim Crow America, where it was legal to deny service on the basis of color all over America, she used her network connections in the United Negro Welfare Council and the Urban League to compile a listing of accommodations in over 300 cities across America, where the patronage of black customers would be welcome. Her partner in the project was Edwin Hackley, a Philadelphia lawyer, and together they published the Hackley and Harrison Apartment Guide for Colored Travelers in 1930. This is it right here. You can download this from the New York Public Library digital collection. It's an amazing historical book. In an extraordinary coincidence, in November 1929, Sadie was contacted by W.E.B. Du Bois, who was seeking a, quote, a colored boarding house for an overnight stay in New London. He had no idea that at that very moment, Sadie was compiling the Hackley and Harrison Guide. And here he was, one of the 2 most prominent black men in America, the other being Booker T. Washington at the time, yet he could not stay at the Mohegan Hotel or the Crocker House because both of those places were white only in 1929. How do I know that? Because that's exactly how they're listed in the Hackley and Harrison Guide. This is New London history that we were never taught in school. The Hackley and Harrison Guide was published in 1930, 7 years before the more famous Green Book. Why is this so significant?
Tell them, Tom.
Because the Hackley-Harrison Guide is the only precursor of the Green Book, and Sadie Harrison wrote it from her home at 73 Hempstead Street, right here in New London. How come nobody ever told us? Until recently, she had received virtually no recognition for this. Yet every listing in the Green Book appears in the Hackley and Harrison Guide. It's time to give Sadie Harrison her due. Now, this is not to take anything away from the historic and well-deserved significance of the Green Book. Victor Hugo Green published the Green Book for 30 years. He greatly expanded its scope and its audience, reportedly reaching 2 million people at its peak. The Hackley and Harrison Guide only appeared in 1930 with a follow-up edition in 1931, which Sadie produced on her own. Come on. Sorry. Well, we also need to recognize that Sadie Dillon Harrison did most of the heavy lifting that made the Green Book possible, and she has yet to receive proper credit. Through the Hackley Harrison Guide and its successor, the Green Book, Sadie helped countless thousands navigate safe passage in Jim Crow America. It's fitting today that we begin to honor her life and her work with this mural. She deserves much more, and of course, she deserves national recognition for this pioneering work. After 1930, Sadie continued her work in education and social work as a superintendent of the Marshallton Industrial School for Colored Girls near Wilmington, Delaware, helping troubled women learn to navigate their lives. And she continued to maintain her permanent residence in what was called Hempstead Cottage at 73 Hempstead Street, New London, which she operated as a tourist home, and it was listed in the Green Book for about 20 years. In 1935, she married Henry Fulford Sr., and she returned to live permanently in New London around 1942 until her death on June 7, 1949, at age 61. It is fitting that with this mural today, the whole New London community honors the memory of our own member of the extraordinary Tanners, Mrs. Sadie Dillon Harrison Fulford. This recognition is long overdue, but it's larger than that. America owes a debt of gratitude to Sadie Dillon Harrison Fulford for her pioneering work in helping thousands, if not millions, negotiate the dangerous landscape of Jim Crow America. Because after all, if it weren't for Sadie Dillon Harrison, we may never have had the Green Book. Thank you, Sadie. Thank you.
That's how you do history right there, everyone. That's how you do it. Thank you again, Tom. Our next speaker is going to offer some words about our third mural subject, Commander Mural Smith. And that person, join me please in welcoming the Chief Diversity Officer of the Coast Guard Academy, Aram DeKoven.
Thank you. They don't do that at the Coast Guard Academy. I'm gonna ask that they do going forward.
That's called flavor.
We need some flavor up there more often. So all greetings and salutations remain in effect. However, I would like to say a few other greetings to some friends who are dear friends who are in the audience. Mayor Passero, it's always good to see you. Dr. Smith, it's good to see you. Gene Jordan, president of our NAACP. Joanne Miller's here too. She's also a dear friend of the Coast Guard Academy. I also saw State Rep Nolan, a good friend as well, and your police chief as well. So, thank you to Mr. Long for the invitation to say a few words on behalf of the Coast Guard Academy in honor of Commander Mural J. Smith. I was asked to say about 5 minutes of remarks, but as you might imagine, there's no way to discuss the impact of this man, the legacy of this man in just 5 minutes. Commander Smith has had an unbelievable legacy at the Coast Guard Academy, in particular on generations of cadets of color, many of whom are officers now and even retired. Let me start by saying I arrived at the Academy in 2015, August. And not long after that, I met Commander Smith. He appeared in my doorway wearing a bright red hat and a signature smile. A smile, by the way, which I have come to adore and now miss. He started up a conversation with me, which turned out to be one of many conversations that I would have with Commander Smith. We spoke about the academy, his time at the academy. We spoke about his time in the Coast Guard. We spoke about life in general, and we also spoke about my new job as the second Chief Diversity Officer at the Coast Guard Academy. I visited with Commander and Dr. Smith at their house on Pequot Ave, met their children, and even a pet or two. And over time, a real friendship was born. My conversations with Commander Smith were rarely on the calendar, and they were never short. But those conversations turned out to be some of my most memorable moments at the Coast Guard Academy. Now, I'll be honest with you. In the beginning, I did not realize the significance of this man to the Coast Guard. Gradually, however, the size of his impact began to dawn on me as we walked together through the passageways and the roadways of the Coast Guard Academy. I saw countless people, from junior cadets to senior officers and enlisted folks, engage Commander Smith in conversation, lengthy conversation, and emotional conversations with extended handshakes. Yes, I saw the pictures in Coast Guard publications. Yes, I saw the memorabilia in glass showcases across the campus. But when it really hit me just who this man was when I heard the countless stories that people told me and that I heard about how this man impacted the lives and the trajectory of so many people. I heard Coast Guard officers and enlisted, both active duty and retired, who credited Commander Smith with being an inspiration to them, a hero to them, not just as a man of color, but as a genuine leader of character, one whose leadership style we should all aspire to. Honor, respect, and devotion to duty. People told countless stories of how they aspired to lead in a way that Commander Smith would approve of. I heard people say, "What would Mural do?" Commander Smith was a scholar. He was a leader. And he was a good person. I mean, truly a good person. They say leadership equals credibility plus vision. Commander Smith had both. Now, last summer, Dr. Smith, the Coast Guard Academy, and the nation lost a hero when we lost Commander Smith. The Academy has honored Commander Smith by naming a prestigious award in his honor, the Commander Mural J. Smith Pioneer Award. By the way, we also commissioned a portrait to paint a beautiful portrait of Commander Smith, which hangs up in the Commander Mural J. Smith Club up at the Academy. I also have a copy of that portrait in my office, so I get to look at his face every morning. It's an inspiration for me. And speaking of the Commander Mural J. Smith Club, that is a club that used to be called the Officers Club, and the Academy renamed that in his honor. Thank you. These are good tributes for a Coast Guard hero, but really just a small token of the impact that this individual had on so many Coast Guard people. Something else the Academy is doing to honor Commander Smith is to make a clear and unambiguous commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. We strive to create a space where all, and I mean all, can feel a sense of belonging, where they can thrive rather than survive. I've heard it said, if you can see it, you can be it. Commander Smith was a light and a reflection that reflected back the hopes, dreams, and aspirations of countless people. To all who see this mural, it will serve as a reminder of the greatness, of the humanity of a trailblazer, a leader who made success more obtainable for those who walked alongside him and those who walked after him. Commander Smith, hats off to you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Smith, and thank you all.
Thank you again, Aram. So as we stated before, today is about history, but it's about culture too, which is not just history. There's a few other individuals among the crowd that I wanted to give a quick shout out to. They are very uniquely New London. I want to shout out artist Mike Alowitz. who's put up murals all around the world and understands what it means to be an activist, who understands how important it is to put a message on a wall for others to see and hear and understand. So as we talk about some of the heroes today, I want to make sure we also know that it is on the shoulders of the activists that come before us that we stand on as well, not just military figures or elected officials, etc. Our culture is made up of lots of different individuals. I also want to give a shout out to the Hygienic. I believe Vinny is here representing them. This mural has been added officially to the wall-to-wall mural walk. We are the 25th and newest mural added to that wall into this city. So please check out the other murals. And thank you to the Hygienic for that addition. And lastly, I wanted to shout out the New London Cultural District. If you all haven't gotten a chance to visit the New London Cultural District, don't panic, you're in it right now. The Cultural District is not one small space, it is many spaces, and it celebrates the diversity and the rich history of New London. I encourage folks to follow up on the Cultural District, and I know he didn't come here to work, but if you have questions, you can always ask Rich. Hi, Rich! To talk more about some of our culture, I'm happy to introduce the next speaker. He is uniquely suited to address this topic. He himself is cultured as heck. And if you don't believe me, you can just read his shirt. Everybody, the New London Poet Laureate, Josh Brown.
I'm also on the short squad, so shout out to 5 Feet Crew. Can I just have a moment of silence to really commend these legends, because we truly stand on their shoulders. Thank you. I am excited to be here with you all today. I'm excited to be outside with community. I know it's a great feeling to be here buzzing, and definitely when we're here to celebrate diversity. I want to first say how amazing it was to be here with the community, to really uproot some leaves, weed, and really prune a park, like was said before, that is a part of the community where we see students out here playing. So seeing the community out here really trying to beautify and add more to where we already have a great cultural district was an amazing feeling. I live right down the street. Now, a friend of mine said, we will find ourselves in rooms where we must learn to adapt, or we must challenge those rooms. Today, I hope we leave with a mindset that confrontation is not negative. It is a path towards education and progress. And to be honest, I wasn't going to talk about Buffalo today. I spent all week talking about Buffalo with my students and how black and brown bodies continue to be targeted and discriminated against. But I want you all to remember that growing tired and avoiding those conversations is by design. And if we do talk about discrimination, we must include regulations of a woman's body. Mainly, we know that a majority of these impact black and brown and impoverished women. And we know for a fact that if Supreme Courts made a decision on a man's body, we would have a second insurrection in Washington. If we don't confront these conversations, then we lose progress and hate will continue to spread. And understand, many of these hateful conversations are outside of the black community. We must have allies who will confront this rhetoric, as we have now seen the groups that the Buffalo shooter continued to scheme on. If you show me a point in history where confrontation was not present, you show me a point in history that was stagnant and communities aren't growing. Art is radical. Art is a form of protest. It forces us to reimagine that we consider the norms. Where you all see a mural, I see an inspiration for many of our youth who love art and create murals of their own. Where some of us call it graffiti and an eyesore, we must understand that those words are microaggressions targeted to predominantly black art forms. I hope that this mural stands as a beacon of diversity and creativity, and a reminder that we must challenge each other if we wish to see true radical change. So ask yourself, how are we challenging the rooms that we are in? How are we checking our microaggressions? How do we continue to discriminate in housing, in employment, and in art galleries? How are we doing the work? And how are you holding people accountable? And like was said earlier, stirring up some good trouble. Please give it up for everyone a part of this, and thank you for coming in today.
Still with a flawless record, every time he talks I get chills. That's how you know he's doing it right. The next person that we're going to hear from, you might have heard of him. His name's Marvin. What a journey it's been, huh? I'm not going to take up too much time here. I'm going to get him right up here. Ladies and gentlemen, the New London lead mural artist for the Sister Mural Project, Marvin Esp.
Just like this. Don't know why, but I feel like
I asked him to play that song because after about a week or two into the mural, I heard this John Baptiste and thought, where have I been? So I'm out here with my headphones, painting by myself, and every couple minutes I have to walk out in the grass and take a look at what I'm doing. And the whole time I'm doing this. So if you saw me out here, I wasn't a crazy man, I was doing my work. What a wonderful community we have in New London. Give it up for yourself. Really, and a wonderful community. And my wife and I have been here just under 2 years, and the reception and the way the community has embraced us, I don't think it's us. I think it's New London. I think New London has a way of embracing all types. Just as we can see today, we are representing all types here in the park. And my experience here at this spot has been one of the most beautiful experiences I've had in my life. And I say it sincerely. Thank you to Parge and for Curtis Goodwin, Eddie Long, and Nancy Gladwell, and for John Good, and for all the people that put this together, because you've made a wonderful thing for the community and a wonderful thing for me. So, give them an applause. Before I forget, there are two guys I'm going to have come up, Nick and Travis, come up for a minute. They know I was going to bring them up. These guys, they assisted me with some of the dirty work on the wall. So they're my artist assistant, and they got some artist skills too. So give it up to them. I can actually say the least because a picture's worth 1,000 words. There's a couple things you wouldn't know though. Eddie mentioned it, but New London High School and also Isaac School, we engage with those young people to hear from them what social justice and racial equality means to them. And what do you want New London to know about racial equality, racial justice, and racial education? So one of the exercises we did was to bring those 12 students and mentors out here to this property, out to the wall. Before anything was painted on the wall, we gave them sidewalk chalk and said, I want you to put the spirit of New London in this wall.
I want you to write on this wall what a city that is growing in terms of racial equality, what does it look like? What do you want people of New London to think when they think about racial justice? And we thought, because they're young people, we thought we were going to have to encourage and push and prod. And they wanted me to shut up so they could get started. So they went at the wall, and within just a few minutes, they wrote the most beautiful expressions of social justice, equality, and love that you would ever imagine. So if you're a parent, you're doing something right with the young people in New London. So the words that you see on the wall, I took photos and tried to capture not just some of the words, but even to put it in their handwriting. So I choose to keep fighting. I didn't know that Buffalo was going to happen when I'm putting that on the wall. And honestly, of all the things that were written, I had to pick and choose what was going to make it on the wall and what maybe there wasn't room for. And I didn't want to believe that there was a great need to keep fighting, but our young people knew that there was still room for fighting. And we can't get tired of talking about it. We can't get tired of educating ourselves. Honestly, I did not, aside from Commander Smith, I didn't know who any of these folks were. I didn't know Antoine Desant. I did not know Sadie Dillon Harrison. And now we know. Now that you know, you got to share it. This is New London's wall. And the last thing I'm going to share is one of the high school students, and I won't use his words because he was being brutally honest. He apologized for himself, and I told him no need. But we asked, well, what do you want the world to know about New London? And his answer was, we don't get credit for anything. I replaced the word anything. We don't get credit for anything. And I thought, okay, and we ran out of time. Our class session was over. And I said, we got to give him a voice. So what I want everyone to do, if you have time, if you can stay long enough, I told Eddie, we got to have a place where someone can take a selfie and express himself publicly to say, I am New London. We don't know who the next Sadie Dillon Harrison is going to be. We don't know who the next Commander Mural Smith is. We don't know the next writer, author, scientist, inventor. We don't know who that is, but I'd love to see their face somewhere in the future with I Am New London in the background. So if you would, please stand where you can see the New London, have somebody take a picture, and tag it wherever you tag stuff with I Am New London and NLCT. Thank you very much. Look at that.
Thank you. One more time for Marvin Espy, please. Marvin's a big boy, so I know he's not going to be hurt when I say it's now time to bring up our guest of honor. And that person is Dr. Linda Smith. Everybody, please. Dr. Linda Smith.
Wow, what a beautiful day. Thank you so much for asking me to speak at this incredible celebration. When I was last asked to speak, I was given the directive of 5 minutes. And I ended up speaking for 20 minutes. I'm not going to do that today. I promise you, my words will be 5 minutes or less. That happened at an awards commemorative dinner at the Coast Guard Academy given by the Genesis Club to remember Mural and talk about his legacy. Today is another opportunity to remember Mural and talk about his legacy. I have to say that Commander Mural Smith is one of the most intelligent, successful, accomplished Coast Guard officers and attorneys as head of the legal department at Electric Boat. With him, we traveled the world. We met world leaders. We met presidents of countries. We met CEOs of major corporations. But you know, sitting down, meeting with Mural and talking to Mural, you never would have known of these kinds of accomplishments, these kinds of achievements. Because his greatest quality, his greatest strength was as such a humble man, such humility, such honor, such graciousness, and such respect. These are all core qualities of the Coast Guard and taught to him at the Coast Guard Academy. Mural passed away last year. It will be almost a year in June. But I can tell you, when he was a cadet at the Academy, he walked by Fulton Park many times. He walked from New London to Groton many times because you weren't allowed to have a car as a cadet until your senior year. So on Liberty, Coast Guard cadets walk. He would be so honored to know that he is being remembered by being painted on this wall in Fulton Park. I'm sure he is just amazed. This is just the beginning, though. This mural, this wall, is just the beginning. Hopefully, it will lead to a better understanding of our minority heroes in this community. Hopefully, it will lead to a better understanding of the importance of diversity and inclusion. Hopefully, it will stimulate great conversations, great discussions about racial justice. These stories need to be told. The story of Antoine Toussaint, the story of Sarah Harrison, and the story of Commander Mural Smith. These are our local heroes, many of which I'm sure you didn't know about, you hadn't heard about, and now we know better, now we understand better, and hopefully these stories will continue to be talked about, discussed, and remembered. This mural will lead to more people getting involved in breaking down racial barriers. This mural will lead people to see that if these three people could do what they did, you can do it too. It's possible today to live your dreams and accomplish your dreams. So, through this wonderful public art project, PARJ, it's phenomenal what's accomplished, what's been done, and I'd like to thank you, everyone, for spearheading this, for making it happen, for having a vision of what we can do for our community. I'd like to thank Marvin for the unbelievable job that you did. I have to say, Marvin, you captured the essence of my husband. You captured the twinkle in his eye. And that's not an easy thing to do. I'm not going to talk about the mustache. But I will say when he was younger, he had a mustache. As he aged, he shaved his mustache. And Marvin and I went back and forth. Do we include the mustache or not include the mustache? And I said, no mustache. We want who he was. And it was without a mustache for many years in his latter days. Last, certainly not least, this mural project would not have happened, could not have happened, without the support of the local New London community. So thank you to everyone who participated in this. You made this happen. I think I'm the last speaker, so enjoy the music, enjoy the food, have a great day. Thank you.
One more time for Dr. Linda Smith. I must say, I'm not done with you all yet. So we're going to close out, but before I do, I'd ask the New London Sister Mural team to come up here and join me. I'd ask Marvin Espy to come up here and join me and his assistant artists. And I'd also ask Pastor David Good to come up and join me, please. As they make their way up, I just wanted to tell people one more time, there's pizza provided by Woodfellas Pizza here in New London, and some water bottles. I know it's hot. Go ahead and get yourself some if you can. After these remarks, I would encourage everybody to stay, enjoy the art, mingle, and enjoy the music provided by our official media sponsors, Q105 and WDUP 92.9, represented here by Mitch. I'm sorry, Mike Mitch. Just a quick little story. I don't even remember when it was, but it was a while ago. When somebody who's not here, unfortunately, Diane Barcelo, an educator from Mitchell College and also a Cuban-American sculptor. She lives here in New London, and she was asked to connect David Good to somebody that was affiliated with the arts in New London. Diane Barcelo chose me, and I am deeply grateful to her for that, because this is the most rewarding thing I've ever been a part of. Thank you, David. And thank you to the members of the Park Steering Committee team. Put a hand up. Thank you, Eddie. Eddie, great. Not yet. Commander Smith's accomplishments remind us the progress we have made as a society when it comes to race. Although there is much work to be done before our union can be close to anything that resembles perfect, it is still very important to point out when progress is made, when potential is realized. Martin Luther King Jr. reminds us that we are not here to tear down man, but to tear down the evil within him. It is possible to work at that evil and remove it. And where it is not possible, it is always worth it to try. As we move through our day, we should remember to lift up our neighbors. As you deal with individuals in your community and institutions in your city and in your county, remember that sentiment from Martin Luther King Jr., that we are not here to tear down man, but the evil within him. The Sister Murals Project is designed to provide opportunities for us to do just that. This is about more than beautifying a space, and Marvin, my brother, wherever you are, you certainly did do that. This is about community engagement. This is about student feedback. This is about facilitating a space in our community where people can have difficult yet civil conversations. This is about facilitating a space in our community where presentations and performances can take place. Educational programming can happen here You can even practice your cheerleading routine, as we saw here last week in the newspaper. This is about history. What is on this wall is not just Black history, it is our history. And finally, the Sister Murals Project is about our future. Who here has ever discussed the potential of New London? Every single one of you. Well, over the last year, Parge has worked with schools and colleges, churches, businesses, community groups, and the municipality in the city of New London. And just look what we've all been able to accomplish. That's not potential, that's power. From this day forward, we needn't refer to the potential of New London. We need to revere its power. We need to celebrate our strength, and the source of New London's strength has always been in its community. So as we close out this program, I want to share something with all of you that has always stuck with me. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Thank you.